My girlfriend said, "My friends and I have a roast tradition. Don't be so sensitive." I smiled. I can take a joke. Then during my turn, I joked about the secret debt I paid off for one friend, the affair I covered up for another, and the loan she never repaid from a third. The silence that followed was deafening. Let me back up. I'd been dating Veronica for 8 months when she invited me to her annual Friendsgiving. 5 women who'd been inseparable since college, gathering to drink wine and tear each other apart. Affectionately, she assured me. "It's how we show love," Veronica explained in the car. "We roast each other. Nothing's off limits." I should have turned around right there. The moment we walked in, I felt the temperature drop. Veronica's friends, Paulette, Iris, Whitney, and Becca, looked me up and down like I was an auction item. "So this is the boyfriend," Paulette said, swirling her wine. "Veronica said you're sensitive about jokes." "I never said that," Veronica lied smoothly. Dinner started pleasant enough. Then came the roasting. They started with Veronica. Jokes about her expired career ambitions, her collection of self-help books she never finished, her habit of dating down. Each jab got meaner, but everyone laughed, so I forced myself to smile. Then they turned on me. "Must be nice," Whitney said, "dating someone who pays for everything." I'd paid for exactly 2 dinners. Veronica made triple my salary. "Does he know about the backup list?" Iris asked, and they all cackled. Veronica touched my knee under the table, her signal to stay calm. "What backup list?" I asked. "Oh, just the ranking we keep," Becca said casually. "Of which boyfriends are worth keeping. You're, what, Veronica? 3rd place?" They kept going. My job wasn't impressive enough. My apartment was sad. My clothes were dated. Even my laugh was wrong. Too loud, apparently. "Can he take a joke or what?" Paulette asked Veronica, like I wasn't there. "He's fine," Veronica said. "Aren't you, baby?" Something snapped. "My turn," I said quietly. The table went still. "Since we're being honest and affectionate," I continued. "Paulette, remember that emergency last year? The $200 you needed for rent?" Her face went white. "I lent you that money. Not Veronica. Me. You told everyone she bailed you out. But I did. You still haven't paid me back." I turned to Iris. "And Iris, that weekend Veronica covered for you? The girls' trip to Miami? You weren't in Miami. You were at a hotel downtown with Brett, Whitney's husband." Whitney's wine glass shattered against the floor. "That's," Iris started. "I have the receipts," I said calmly. "You used Venmo. I helped Veronica create the alibi because she said you'd lose everything if Whitney found out." Whitney was staring at Iris with an expression I'd never seen on a human face before. "And Becca," I smiled. "The DUI you got last Christmas? The one you said was dropped?" "It wasn't. Veronica called in a favor with her cousin, the public defender. Cost her $5,000 to make it disappear." Becca was crying now. "But this is just affectionate roasting, right?" I asked. "Nothing's off limits. That's the tradition." Veronica grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "We need to leave," she hissed. "No," Whitney said, her voice like ice. "Let him finish." I stood up. "I'm done. Just wanted to participate in your fun little tradition. Show love the way you all do by exposing everything that should stay private." I grabbed my coat. As I reached the door, Veronica caught up. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she demanded. "You told me I was too sensitive," I said. "I proved I wasn't." Behind us, I could hear Whitney screaming at Iris. Something shattered. Someone was sobbing. "You just destroyed my friendships," Veronica said. "Funny," I replied. "Because they were destroying you for 8 months. I just returned the favor." I left her standing in the doorway. 3 days later, Veronica's Instagram went dark. Her friends unfollowed her. Paulette sent me a threatening message about slander, then blocked me. The group chat, the one Veronica had shown me where they ranked her boyfriends, went silent. Then yesterday, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "We need to talk," a woman's voice said. "Who is this?" "Whitney's divorce attorney," she replied. "And I have questions about what you know." I sat in my car for a solid 5 minutes, staring at my phone after she hung up. The attorney's name was Diana Rosewood, and she wanted to meet the next day. Her office, downtown, 11 a.m. sharp. "Bring any documentation you have regarding the affair," she'd said. "Text messages, receipts, anything that establishes a timeline." I didn't want to get involved. I really didn't. But something about Whitney's face that night, the way it crumpled when she realized her entire marriage was a lie, stuck with me. She'd been cruel to me, sure, but she didn't deserve what Iris and Brett had done to her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the dinner in my head, wondering if I should have just kept my mouth shut. Veronica's words echoed. "You just destroyed my friendships." Maybe I had, but those friendships were built on a foundation of secrets and cruelty. Was I supposed to be complicit in that? My phone buzzed around 2 a.m. Unknown number. "This is Paulette. I know you think you're some kind of hero, but you're not. You're a vindictive asshole who couldn't handle a little joke. Hope you're proud of yourself." Delete. Another buzz. Unknown number. "Please don't talk to Whitney's lawyer. Iris is my best friend. She made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve to have her life ruined. Becca." I stared at that one longer. Iris made a mistake. As if sleeping with your friend's husband for months was equivalent to forgetting someone's birthday. I typed back, "Where was this energy when you all were destroying Veronica?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. The next morning, I showed up at Diana Rosewood's office 15 minutes early. The building was all glass and steel, the kind of place that charged $600 an hour just to breathe the air. Diana was in her late 40s, with sharp features and sharper eyes. She gestured to a leather chair across from her massive desk. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know this situation is uncomfortable. That's one word for it." She smiled slightly. "Whitney told me what happened at the dinner. She said you exposed her husband's affair with her friend." I did. "Why?" I hadn't expected that question. I shifted in my seat. Because they were tearing me apart all night and no one stopped them. Because my girlfriend just sat there and let it happen. Because I was tired of watching people be cruel and calling it love. Diana nodded slowly. And you have proof of the affair? Some. I helped my girlfriend create the alibi, so I know the dates. I have the Venmo transactions showing Iris paying for the hotel room, and I have text messages between Veronica and Iris discussing it. Can I see them? I pulled out my phone and started scrolling. There they were. Months of messages between Veronica and Iris, planning meetups, discussing Brett, Iris panicking about getting caught. Diana's expression didn't change as she read, but I saw her jaw tighten. Would you be willing to testify if it comes to that? My stomach dropped. Testify? As in court? Possibly. We're building a case for infidelity to affect the asset distribution. Brett comes from money. Old money. Whitney signed a prenup that heavily favors him unless she can prove cause for divorce. And the affair is cause? Exactly. I thought about Veronica's face when I walked out. The messages from Paulette and Becca. The group chat going silent. What happens to Iris? I asked. Diana's expression hardened. That's not my concern. My client is Whitney. But if you're asking whether Iris will face consequences, socially, professionally, personally, yes, absolutely. I should have felt bad about that, but I didn't. I'll do it, I said. Whatever you need. Diana handed me a business card. I'll have my paralegal contact you to schedule a formal deposition. In the meantime, please forward me all relevant communications. As I stood to leave, she said, one more thing. Be prepared for retaliation. Whitney's friends, former friends, are already circling the wagons. You exposed their secrets too. They won't take that lying down. I know. Do you? She leaned forward. Because these women come from wealth and privilege. They have resources, and they're angry. I thought about Paulette's message, Becca's plea, the silence from Veronica. Let them come, I said. Walking back to my car, my phone rang. Mom. Hey, I answered. Are you okay? She asked immediately. Veronica's mother called me. She said you caused some kind of scene at a dinner party? Of course she did. The mothers knew each other from some charity board. I'd forgotten about that connection. I didn't cause a scene. I just told the truth. About what? I gave her the abbreviated version. The roasting. My girlfriend's friends being cruel. My decision to expose their secrets. The line went quiet for a long moment. Oh, honey, she finally said. What were you thinking? I was thinking that someone needed to stand up to them. By humiliating them publicly, they humiliated me first, and you stooped to their level. That's not like you. Her words stung because they were true. It wasn't like me. I'd always been the calm one, the rational one, the one who walked away from conflict, but something about that night had pushed me past my limit. Mom, they were cruel. Not just to me, to each other, to Veronica. They had this whole system of tearing each other down and calling it friendship. So you decided to burn it all down? Yes, she sighed. Well, I hope you're prepared for the consequences. Veronica's mother was livid. And from what I hear, you're not exactly popular in their social circle right now. I can live with that, can you? Because Veronica's family is well connected in this city. Her father owns half the commercial real estate downtown. Her mother chairs 3 different charity boards, and you just made an enemy of all of them. I hadn't thought about that. I'd been so focused on the immediate satisfaction of calling out the friend group that I hadn't considered the broader implications. I'll be fine, I said, with more confidence than I felt. I love you, she said, but you need to be smart about this. Document everything, save every message, and maybe talk to a lawyer yourself. After we hung up, I sat in my car and thought about what she'd said. Document everything. I opened my email and started forwarding everything to a folder. The threatening message from Paulette, the plea from Becca, the texts between Veronica and Iris about the affair, screenshots of the group chat where they ranked boyfriends. Then I created a backup and another backup, saved them to 3 different cloud services. By the time I got home, I had 6 missed calls, all from the same number, Veronica. I didn't call back. Instead, I ordered pizza and tried to pretend my life wasn't imploding. But around 9:00 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole. Veronica stood there, arms crossed, looking angrier than I'd ever seen her. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into my apartment. Nice to see you too. She spun around. Do you have any idea what you've done? I told the truth. You asked me to participate in your tradition. I did. By destroying everything, her voice cracked. Whitney's filing for divorce. Iris is being sued for alienation of affection. Do you even know what that means? Becca's husband found out about the DUI and is threatening to leave her. And Paulette is telling everyone you're a liar and a manipulator. I'm not the one who lied. You exposed private information in the cruelest way possible. Funny, I said, because that's exactly what you all did to me, for hours, in front of everyone. She opened her mouth, then closed it. That was different, she finally said. How? Because we were joking. Were you? Because it didn't feel like jokes. It felt like humiliation disguised as tradition. Veronica's eyes filled with tears. I've lost everything. My friends won't speak to me. Whitney blames me for covering for Iris. Paulette is threatening to sue you, and me by extension, for defamation. And my parents are mortified. Your parents are mortified that their daughter's boyfriend stood up for himself? My parents are mortified that you aired everyone's dirty laundry at a private dinner party. Then maybe you shouldn't have invited me to a private dinner party where the entertainment was tearing me apart. She wiped her eyes angrily. I defended you to them. After you left, I told them you were just upset that you didn't mean it. But I did mean it, every word. Why? Her voice broke completely now. Why would you do this to me? To us? I looked at her, really looked at her, the woman I'd spent 8 months with, the woman who'd let her friends mock everything about me while squeezing my knee under the table, asking me to just take it, because you were never on my side, I said quietly. You brought me into a den of wolves and then acted surprised when I fought back. They're not wolves, they're my friends. They were your bullies, and you were theirs. You just called it friendship to make it hurt less. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she pulled off the necklace I'd given her for her birthday and set it on my counter. We're done, she said. I know. Diana Rosewood contacted you, didn't she? Yes. And you're going to help her? Yes. Veronica laughed bitterly. You know what the worst part is? I actually thought you were different. I thought you were kind. I was kind. I stayed kind while you and your friends shredded me. I was kind when I lent Paulette money she never paid back. I was kind when I helped you cover for Iris. I was kind until being kind meant being a doormat. So you became cruel instead. No, I said. I became honest. There's a difference. She walked to the door, then paused. They're going to come after you. Paulette has connections. So does Whitney's family. They'll make sure you regret this. Let them try. After she left, I locked the door and leaned against it. My hands were shaking. I'd just ended an 8-month relationship. I'd made enemies of some of the most well-connected women in the city, and I'd agreed to testify in what would probably be a messy divorce case. But for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize, Veronica's friends and their partners, people from her social circle, even a few co-workers from her office, all saying basically the same thing. I was a liar, a manipulator, someone seeking attention by making up stories about innocent people. Paulette had apparently told everyone I'd fabricated the affair, that I'd created fake Venmo receipts and doctored text messages because I was jealous of Veronica's friendships. I screenshotted everything, added it to my backup files. Then my boss called. Margaret was in her 60s, practical and no nonsense. We'd worked together for 3 years and she'd always been fair. We need to talk, she said. Can you come in early today? My stomach sank. Is this about the dinner party? Just come in, please. I arrived at the office an hour before my usual time. Margaret was waiting in her office, looking uncomfortable. Close the door, she said. I sat down, my heart pounding. I got a call yesterday, she began, from Dennis Harrington. He's on our board of directors. Dennis Harrington, Whitney's father. What did he say? Margaret folded her hands on her desk. He said you've been spreading malicious rumors about his daughter's marriage, that you're involved in some kind of harassment campaign against her friends, and he strongly suggested that we reconsider your employment here. The room tilted slightly. That's not what happened. I know, Margaret said. I told him we don't make personnel decisions based on personal disputes, but he's threatening to pull his company's contract with us if we don't address the situation. Address it how? She looked miserable. He wants you fired. Or at minimum, placed on suspension pending an investigation. I couldn't breathe. My job. They were going after my job. Margaret, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't spread rumors. I exposed the truth because they were being cruel and I was tired of it. I believe you. But Dennis Harrington controls a $2 million annual contract. The board is meeting this afternoon to discuss it. So I'm collateral damage. I'm going to fight for you, she said. But I need you to be honest with me. Everything that happened. Don't leave anything out. So I told her. The entire story. The roasting tradition. The ranking system. The way they'd mocked me for hours. My decision to expose their secrets. The affair. The DUI. The loan. Margaret listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. You have proof of all this? Yes. Everything. Send it to me. All of it. If the board is going to consider terminating you, they need to see the full context. I forwarded everything from my phone. The messages, the screenshots, the receipts. One more thing, Margaret said as I stood to leave. Be prepared for this to get uglier before it gets better. If Dennis Harrington is involved, he's not playing around. He has resources, connections, and apparently no problem using them to protect his daughter. She's the victim here, I said. Whitney. Her husband cheated on her with her best friend. I know. But to her father, you're the one who embarrassed his family by making it public. I went to my desk but couldn't focus. Every few minutes, someone would walk by and give me a look. Curiosity, judgment, pity. Word had spread. Of course it had. At lunch, my coworker Trevor sat down across from me in the break room. So, he said, you're the guy who blew up Whitney Harrington's marriage. That's not what I did. That's what everyone's saying. Her father is out for blood, apparently. Great. Trevor lowered his voice. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Everyone knows Dennis Harrington is a bully, and Whitney's husband is a piece of work. Used to come into the office sometimes when his company was negotiating with us. Complete asshole. Thanks. But you should know, people are taking sides, and most of them are siding with the Harringtons because, well, money. I pushed my sandwich away, suddenly not hungry. How bad is it going to get? Trevor shrugged. Dennis Harrington once had a junior accountant fired from 3 different firms in 6 months because the guy's car accidentally scratched his in a parking garage. So, pretty bad. That afternoon, the board meeting lasted 4 hours. Margaret texted me updates. Board is reviewing your documentation. Dennis just threatened to sue the company for harboring a hostile employee. HR is recommending suspension while they investigate. Finally, at 6 p.m., come to my office. I walked down the hall on shaking legs. Margaret looked exhausted. Sit, she said. Am I fired? No, but you're being placed on paid administrative leave for 2 weeks while HR conducts a formal investigation into the allegations. Allegations of what? I didn't do anything at work. Allegations that you harassed employees of a client company and created a hostile environment that could impact business relationships. That's insane. I know, but it's the compromise the board reached. Dennis wanted you terminated immediately. I fought for the investigation. It gives us time to present the full picture. And if the investigation doesn't go my way? Margaret's expression said everything. I drove home in a daze. 2 weeks of paid leave. It sounded nice in theory, a break from work. But it wasn't a vacation. It was a countdown to possibly losing my job because I'd refused to be humiliated. My phone rang as I pulled into my parking spot. Diana Rosewood. I heard about your job situation, she said without preamble. Dennis Harrington is making moves, so I've noticed. Whitney wants to meet you. That surprised me. Why? She wants to thank you and to apologize for how her friends treated you. Her father is trying to get me fired. She doesn't know about that yet, but she should, and she should hear it from you. We agreed to meet the next day at a coffee shop across town. Neutral territory. I showed up early, ordered coffee I didn't drink, and waited. Whitney arrived exactly on time. She looked different than she had at the dinner. Smaller somehow, her confidence stripped away. There were dark circles under her eyes. She sat down across from me. Thank you for coming. Your father is trying to destroy my life. Her face crumpled. What? He called my boss, threatened to pull a multi-million-dollar contract unless I'm fired. I'm on administrative leave pending an investigation. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Does it matter? You're still going to let him do it. No, she said firmly. I'm going to stop it. My father doesn't speak for me. Could have fooled me. Whitney looked down at her hands. I know you don't owe me anything. I know I was terrible to you at that dinner. We all were. And you had every right to walk away, to tell Veronica we were awful and never look back. But I didn't just walk away. No, you told the truth. And it destroyed my marriage, exposed my husband's affair, and shattered my entire friend group. She looked up, eyes red, and I'm grateful for it. I hadn't expected that. I've been living a lie, she continued, for at least 2 years. That's how long Brett and Iris were together. Everyone knew. Everyone. Her husband knew and looked the other way because it was convenient. Paulette knew and kept the secret. Becca knew and said nothing. Even Veronica knew and helped cover for them. And you? I suspected, but I didn't want to know, because knowing meant dealing with it, meant admitting my marriage was fake, meant choosing between my husband and my best friend and realizing I'd lose both. A tear rolled down her cheek. That dinner, our roasting tradition, it was never about love. It was about control, about making sure no one got too confident, too happy, too successful. We'd tear each other down just enough to keep everyone in line. Why? Because that's what we learned. From our mothers, from our social circle, from every country club luncheon and charity gala we attended. Women don't support women, they compete. And the way you win is by making sure everyone else is just a little bit miserable. She pulled a tissue from her purse and wiped her eyes. You broke that cycle. You showed me what it looked like when someone actually had a spine, when someone refused to be complicit in cruelty. At what cost? At whatever cost necessary, she said fiercely. I'm divorcing Brett. I'm cutting off Iris completely. And I'm having a very long conversation with my father about boundaries. He's not going to stop. He will, because I have something he wants, access to his granddaughter, and I'll use that if I have to. I hadn't known Whitney had a kid. She's 6, Whitney continued, stays with my mother during the week while I work. But if my father continues to harass you, I'll make sure he understands there are consequences. Why do you care? I'm nobody to you. Because you did something none of my friends ever did. You told me the truth, even when it hurt, even when it cost you everything. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. This is a formal letter stating that you acted in good faith by disclosing information about an ongoing extramarital affair. It's notarized and copies have been sent to your HR department and to the board of directors at your company. I opened it. The letter was detailed. Dates, facts, Whitney's statement that she'd requested information about her husband's activities, and I'd provided it honestly. This should help with your investigation, she said. Diana helped me draft it. It establishes that you weren't spreading rumors or harassing anyone. You were responding to a direct inquiry about criminal activity. Criminal activity? Brett and Iris were using joint marital funds to pay for their affair. Hotels, gifts, trips. That's fraud. And potentially theft. I didn't know that. Neither did I until Diana started digging, but it means everything you disclosed is relevant to an ongoing legal matter, which means you're protected. I stared at the letter, not quite believing it. And your father? I'm handling him, but I need you to do something for me. What? Testify. At my divorce proceedings. Tell them exactly what you told me, about Iris and Brett, about the affair, about everything. Your friends will hate me even more. They already hate you, but more importantly, they're not my friends anymore. They never were. After Whitney left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, rereading the letter. Maybe this would be enough. Maybe HR would see that I'd been caught in the middle of something bigger than a dinner party gone wrong. Or maybe Dennis Harrington's influence would win, and I'd still lose my job. I forwarded the letter to Margaret with a brief explanation. She responded immediately. This helps. A lot. We'll present it to the board tomorrow. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange limbo. I stayed home, avoided social media, and tried to ignore the constant buzzing of my phone. The messages continued. Threats from Paulette, angry rants from Becca's husband, anonymous messages calling me everything from a homewrecker to far worse. I documented all of it, forwarded it to Diana, let her decide what was actionable. On day 12 of my suspension, Margaret called. The board has reached a decision. My heart stopped. You're being reinstated, effective immediately, with back pay for the suspension period. I almost dropped the phone. Really? Whitney's letter made all the difference. The board couldn't justify terminating you for disclosing relevant information about ongoing fraud. And when Whitney threatened to file a formal complaint against her father for witness intimidation, Dennis backed off. He backed off? Pulled back all his threats. Apparently, his daughter is scarier than he is. I laughed, almost giddy with relief. What about the contract? Still in place. Turns out Dennis Harrington needs us more than we need him. His company has regulatory compliance issues that only we can handle. He was bluffing. After I hung up, I sat on my couch and just breathed. For the first time in 2 weeks, the crushing weight on my chest lifted. I had my job back. Whitney was on my side, and Dennis Harrington had been put in his place by his own daughter. But the story wasn't over, not by a long shot. Diana called that evening. We have a court date, 3 weeks from now. Are you ready? Ready as I'll ever be. Good, because Brett's lawyer is going scorched earth. They're trying to paint you as a disgruntled ex-boyfriend of Iris who made up the affair out of jealousy. I've never dated Iris. Doesn't matter. They're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. We need to be prepared. The next 3 weeks were intensive. Diana prepped me for hours, teaching me how to answer questions, what to expect from cross-examination, how to stay calm under pressure. They're going to try to rattle you, she said during one session. They'll bring up your relationship with Veronica. They'll suggest you had ulterior motives. They'll make you sound like a vindictive ex, but I'm not. I know. The jury will know. But Brett's lawyer is good, and he'll try to create reasonable doubt about the affair itself. We have proof. We have circumstantial evidence. The Venmo receipts, the text messages, your testimony about helping create alibis. But we don't have photos, video, or a direct admission from either party. So it's my word against theirs, plus Whitney's testimony, plus financial records showing Brett spending joint funds on hotels during the times Iris claimed to be out of town, plus phone records showing hundreds of calls and texts between Brett and Iris during a 2-year period. That seems like more than circumstantial. It is. But Brett's lawyer will argue it could all be innocent. Work calls, business meetings, platonic friendship. That's ridiculous. Welcome to divorce court. The day of the hearing arrived. I wore my best suit and showed up an hour early. Whitney was already there with Diana, looking nervous but determined. Thank you for doing this, she said when she saw me. Are you sure you want to go through with this? It's not too late to settle, I'm sure. Brett needs to face consequences, and I need to prove to myself that I'm done being passive. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Brett sat with his lawyer, a sharp-dressed man in his 50s who looked like he ate witnesses for breakfast. Iris was there too, sitting in the back row, her face pale. When my name was called, I walked to the stand and was sworn in. My hands were sweating. Diana started with easy questions. My name, my relationship to the parties involved, how I knew Veronica. Then, can you describe the events of November 15th? I told the story, the dinner, the roasting, the way they'd mocked me for hours, my decision to expose their secrets in return. And why did you mention the affair between Brett Harrington and Iris Chen? Because I was tired of watching people be cruel and face no consequences, and because I knew it was true. How did you know it was true? My girlfriend at the time, Veronica Chen, told me about it. She asked me to help her create an alibi for Iris so Whitney wouldn't find out. Brett's lawyer objected. Hearsay. The judge overruled. This was a civil proceeding, not criminal. Different rules, Diana continued. And did you help create this alibi? Yes. I felt wrong about it, but Veronica insisted it was better for everyone if Whitney didn't know. Did you personally witness any interactions between Brett Harrington and Iris Chen that suggested a romantic relationship? Once, about 3 months before the dinner, I was picking up Veronica from Iris's apartment, and I saw Brett leaving. He kissed Iris goodbye, not like a friend, like a partner. Did Ms. Chen know you saw this? No, I was parked down the street. I didn't mention it to anyone until the dinner. Diana showed me the Venmo receipts, the text messages, the hotel confirmations. Are these the documents you referenced when you told Whitney about the affair? Yes. And why did you keep them? Because Veronica showed them to me when she was panicking about getting caught. She asked me to help her remember the dates in case Whitney ever asked questions. Brett's lawyer stood for cross-examination. He was smiling, which immediately put me on edge. Mr. Peterson, he began, you've testified that you exposed this alleged affair because you were tired of cruelty. Is that correct? Yes, but isn't it true that you exposed private information about multiple people, not just the affair, in a public setting? The dinner wasn't public. It was a private gathering. But you knew these revelations would have public consequences, didn't you? I didn't think about consequences. I was just done being humiliated. So this was about revenge. No, it was about honesty. He smirked. Honest revenge, then. Tell me, Mr. Peterson, how long have you been in love with Ms. Harrington? The question hit like a slap. What? You went to extraordinary lengths to expose her husband's affair. You kept detailed records. You agreed to testify in her divorce proceedings. Isn't it possible that you fabricated or exaggerated this affair because you wanted Ms. Harrington for yourself? That's insane. I'd met Whitney exactly twice before the dinner. But you were dating her friend. You had access to her social circle. You had opportunity to develop feelings. I didn't have feelings for Whitney. I still don't. Then why are you here? Why insert yourself into a stranger's divorce? Because she asked me to tell the truth. And because what Brett and Iris did was wrong. Wrong according to you. Wrong according to basic human decency. The judge intervened. Counselor, get to a question or move on. Brett's lawyer smiled. No further questions. I stepped down, my hands shaking. Diana gave me a reassuring nod. Whitney testified next. She was calm, composed, devastating. She described finding credit card statements showing charges at hotels where Brett claimed to be on business trips. She described Iris's sudden unavailability during those same dates. She described the pattern of lies spanning 2 years. Under cross-examination, Brett's lawyer tried to suggest she was motivated by greed, that she wanted out of the prenup and was using false allegations to do it. Whitney didn't flinch. I don't want his money. I want my dignity back. I want my daughter to grow up knowing her mother didn't stay in a lying marriage just for financial security. The hearing lasted 2 days. Witness after witness, financial experts, phone records, timeline reconstructions. By the end, even Brett's lawyer looked tired. The judge took a week to issue her ruling. When it came, it was everything Whitney had hoped for. The judge found clear evidence of an extramarital affair conducted using joint marital funds. The prenup was voided. Asset distribution would be decided at a later hearing, but the ruling suggested a 50-50 split. More importantly, Brett was required to pay Whitney's legal fees, all of them. Diana called me with the news. We won, completely. What about Iris? Brett's suing her for alienation of affection, asking for $200,000 in damages. Will he win? Probably. The evidence is overwhelming. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. Veronica texted me later that day. First time in nearly 2 months. I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything. I didn't respond, but Whitney did. She posted a statement on social media the next day, something I'm sure Diana advised against, but Whitney was done playing by other people's rules. I want to thank everyone who supported me through my divorce, particularly the stranger who had the courage to tell me the truth when everyone else stayed silent. Loyalty isn't covering up lies, friendship isn't protecting cheaters, and love isn't letting cruelty go unchallenged. To anyone staying quiet about wrongdoing because you don't want to rock the boat, rock it. The truth is worth the waves. The post went viral. Thousands of comments, most supportive, some calling her brave, others calling me a homewrecker. I didn't read them. I was done caring what Veronica's social circle thought of me. 6 months later, I ran into Paulette at a grocery store. She saw me first. Her face went red, and for a moment, I thought she might cause a scene. Instead, she walked up to me and said, I paid you back. The money I owed, I sent it last week. I checked my Venmo later. She had $200 with a note, square. Becca sent me a friend request on social media 2 months after that. I didn't accept it, but I saw her profile was public. She was separated from her husband. Her bio said something about starting over and learning to stand up for herself. Iris disappeared entirely, deleted all social media, moved out of state. According to Whitney, Brett's lawsuit against her was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. And Veronica? She reached out once more, about a year after everything fell apart. I've been in therapy, she wrote, working through a lot of things. My therapist helped me understand that our friend group was toxic, that the roasting tradition was just abuse disguised as bonding, and that I let them hurt you because I was too scared to stand up to them. She wanted to meet for coffee, to apologize properly. I thought about it for a long time. Then I wrote back, I appreciate the apology, but I don't think meeting is a good idea. What happened hurt both of us, and I think we're better off moving forward separately. I hope therapy helps. I hope you find real friends who build you up instead of tearing you down. But I can't be part of your healing process. I'm still working on my own. She responded with a simple, I understand. Thank you for everything you did. Even though it hurt, it was necessary. I'm sorry it took me so long to see that. I never responded to that message. As for Whitney, we're not friends exactly, but we're friendly. We text occasionally, share articles about divorce recovery and setting boundaries. She's thriving in ways she never did during her marriage, started her own consulting firm, has primary custody of her daughter, and from what I can tell from her social media, she's genuinely happy. She sent me a card on the anniversary of the dinner. Inside, she'd written, thank you for being braver than I was. Thank you for caring about the truth more than keeping the peace. Thank you for showing me what integrity looks like. You changed my life. I keep that card on my refrigerator. On bad days, when I wonder if I did the right thing, I read it and remember. Sometimes standing up for yourself costs everything. Your relationship, your reputation, your peace of mind. But staying silent costs more. It costs your self-respect, your dignity, your soul. I lost a girlfriend, a social circle, and nearly my job that night at the dinner party. But I gained something more valuable. The knowledge that I could look at myself in the mirror and not feel ashamed. The roasting tradition was cruelty disguised as love. And when they asked if I could take a joke, I proved I could. I just proved that honesty cuts deeper than humor. And that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse to laugh along. People still ask me if I regret it, if I do it differently, if I could go back. The answer is no, and yes. No, I don't regret exposing the truth. Those secrets were destroying people. Whitney, Veronica, even Iris in her own way. Someone needed to shine a light into that darkness. But yes, I'd do it differently. I'd talk to Whitney privately instead of making it a public spectacle. I'd find a way to be honest without being cruel. I'd prove you can stand up for yourself without stooping to their level. Because here's what I learned. You can't fight cruelty with cruelty and expect a different result. You can't tear people down and call it justice. The high road exists. It's just a lot harder to find when you're angry. but it's still the right road, even when it's lonely, even when it costs you everything you thought you wanted. These days, I'm more careful about who I let into my life. I ask harder questions. I pay attention to how people treat others when they think no one important is watching. And when someone tells me cruelty is just their way of showing love, I walk away. Before the dinner starts, before the roasting begins, before I have to choose between my dignity and their approval. Because I learned the hard way. Some traditions deserve to be broken. Some secrets deserve to be told. And some relationships aren't worth saving. The truth will cost you, but silence costs more. And in the end, I'd rather be the person who spoke up than the person who stayed quiet to keep the peace, even if it means eating dinner alone for the rest of my life. Though honestly, after 8 months of pretending to laugh at my own humiliation, eating alone sounds pretty good. At least when I'm alone, I know exactly who I'm dining with, and I actually like their company.